the last minute of that end of quarter, we were delivering cars to produce, to make sure that we would hit numbers. And early on, Elon would email the company and say, if we don't hit our numbers, we're not going to be a company. We were delivering cars at the end of quarter. So for like 2 weeks straight, I'm talking every day for 2 weeks straight, we were delivering cars every 10 minutes.
We got on the topic of the Valkyrie, and they started talking about service. And apparently, your first service with that car is like $150,000, and your second service is maybe more because you have to rebuild the gearbox at 30,000 miles.
God, the route that we do, a lot of times there's a lot of potholes on that one section when you turn up over there.
Yeah.
And every other car, you have to be super careful. You got to go around them.
Yeah, you gotta think.
I had it in the rally mode, and I was just like, no problem. Hey, so welcome back. Hey, Barry. Welcome back to another episode of In the Driver's Seat with ABS. Did you just go, oh God?
Yeah, it's like, here we go again.
Wow.
No.
So disrespectful. If you haven't seen or heard our last episode, we featured Matt Farr and Zach Clapman from The Smoking Tire. We had a great conversation with them in our museum right after our veteran car tour. So if you haven't checked out that episode, be sure to head over and see that one. Before we start off this episode today in our storage facility, Ben Chester, I have to ask you, how are you recovering? Because you had a tumble.
Tumble's a strong word.
Like, even right there, like, I went, like, yeah, it's not good.
Not good?
It's not good.
Like, so let me get this straight. You have ups. Like, how tall are you?
5'2".
6.
Okay, so
6'1".
6'4" on Tinder.
Yeah.
Bro, you can basically dunk. And like, I've seen you play basketball. You have ups, and I've also seen you jump over fences before. And you went to go jump over a fence. What happened?
Well, this wasn't like a a track and field jump scenario, but we tried to make it out to be something like that. But one of our diesel mechanics, the guy we send all the food trucks and all of our diesel, dualies to, Jamie from DePaul Diesels is out in the Qingdao parking lot, and we were moving a bunch of cars, so he was seeing what's going on, and I said, "Hey, Jamie, what's up? I'll just hop the fence and come talk to you." So I climbed the fence, and I'm a fence veteran.
Connoisseur.
I'm not a
fence
connoisseur,
guru.
but I know my way up and down a fence. So I climbed the fence, and at the top of the fence, where they twist the wire, it was probably like 1.5 inches long. Like, I didn't really, take that math into consideration. And my shoelace got caught on the top of the fence. And we're talking like an 8-foot fence.
Yeah, it's a tall fence.
And I, went to hop over and just like land on my feet like, the cat I am. And my shoelace got caught and then just snapped. And I hit the ground on my head right here. And my chest took most of the brunt of the fall. And immediately, I hop up, got to keep playing.
Yeah, it's all set.
And I was fine for like the rest of the day, and then like woke up the next morning like I might be dying. Like heavy breathing and laughing hurts, sneezing hurts.
Yeah,
So if I smacked you across the chest,
we would have to
You'd throw hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he came in here, and he could tell he was a little frazzled. And then he told me my first immediate concern was that we got this on camera. So
yeah. Great. Sean's like, oh no, let's go in my office and talk about it.
Let's go look at the cameras just to make sure you didn't really get injured too bad.
Frick.
So naturally we looked at the camera footage, and it's very upsetting.
Thank God. God's got me on this one.
Yeah, this is like too good, because we pull up the cameras, we see Ben Chester walking to the fence. Yeah. He's walking to the fence. He sees Jamie. He's walking, crawls up the fence, and then it lags. And then the next thing you see, him just walking to the car.
Next thing you see, I'm on the door sill of Jamie's F-350.
It was like we're going to give you a pass on this one.
I was. He's like, "Are you hurt?" I'm like, "I'm shocked. Like, I don't know what just happened."
Yeah.
So that was a week ago today. Still in pain.
Still milking it.
If we are still in pain a week from now, I'm gonna go to the doctor.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah.
You probably bruised your chest.
I think
plate.
I bruised my whole chest.
Yeah.
And
you got to make sure you didn't like crack a rib. I mean, there's nothing.
I might have. I don't know.
There's nothing you can do for that.
I know.
You literally just have to like wait it out.
Yeah, I know.
Which sucks.
So we're getting there.
No, you guys did a. So for those that don't know, this is our main storage building, and we had to move all of the cars in this section of the room out for the Bonhams auction that happened during the Veteran Car Tour. After the Bonhams auction was done, moved all the cars back in here. So it looks really, really nice in here. You guys did a great job.
Yeah, we moved. So that was the day I had my tipsy tumble. Was that Thursday? No, that was the first day we were bringing cars over.
Monday.
But we organized this whole building last Thursday. It started at 10 a.m. and at 7:30 p.m. we walked out, and everything was almost like we hadn't moved it in the first place.
So it looks great.
We're getting pretty efficient at this stuff.
Looks really great.
But the whole key, Nick's told us this multiple times. I always think about this. We have 550 cars in the collection. Let's just say, on average, 365 days a year, you move 6 cars. So quick math, that's 3,000.
Quick maths.
No, not 3,000, but 6 times 300 is 1,800, 2,000 moves. If you have 1% of those moves that have a problem, thousands in damage, hundreds of thousands in damage.
Oh, for sure.
That's a lot. So we try to be absolutely perfect with this. And,
for sure.
We usually are, because we've got a strict routine and we do the same thing every time.
Listen, you fell, so we're going to do knock on wood.
Yeah, let's knock on wood.
That was bad.
That was really awkward.
That was. I don't know what you're doing. I thought you were putting a middle finger up or something like. Yeah, don't touch me, bro.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. What do we think of the new Ferrari?
The new 240Z or the new Ferrari?
Well, it's uglier than a 240Z. I mean, we'll start there.
The name is the best part. It's like they're just like, okay, 12 cylinder.
Yeah, this is the last one. Like, I guess.
12 cilindri, mamma mia, spaghetti pasta.
I mean, look, Ferrari's known for kind of pushing design boundaries.
Yeah.
And like trying to be avant-garde, I guess.
Right.
It's I like the front. I like the front 3/4. But we got a little hearse situation going on in the back.
Well, we've talked about this in...
someone's dead back there.
Yeah, we've talked about...
They carry around Enzo in the back of it.
Oh,
It comes with a little ashes.
It's so
We've talked about it in the past, and I like... He's hurting. I like the idea of brands bringing, going back to, previous designs.
retro look.
We talked about the Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer, whatever.
Yep.
We talked about the Defender, whatever. We've talked about brands doing this, and clearly they did this with the Daytona, and I love the the original Daytona, but there's certain brands that I feel like Ferrari, and I could be totally wrong with this, but I feel like Ferrari just does not listen to
because they're Ferrari.
Their fan, whatever, their owners, their fans, that car, I think, even just with a manual transmission would have been
that would have been it. That would have been fire.
All you need to do, naturally
They're
aspirated.
never doing that again.
Naturally aspirated, 12-cylinder, 6-speed, open top.
Oh,
they could have made the hard top, whatever, paddle shifter, but make the open top a manual, whatever. They had the opportunity to do that, and
it's sad that they don't.
If they're going back to the heritage of looking like the Daytona, wanting to be the Daytona, the cruiser, the driver's car, whatever, just give it an option.
Go.
Well, so
spit it out, Chief.
So
he's now a Porsche guy. Now he's moved on from Ferrari.
Listen,
so what do you got to say?
We agreed before this episode to not talk about Porsche. No, we didn't. So I'm not talking about Porsche.
I didn't. I just said you're now a Porsche person because look at what Ferrari's become.
Look at the socks.
Yeah.
These are more Corvette socks than anything.
No,
these are like, I'm ready to go to Cars and Coffee. Wear my new.
All right, what's your point? Because I got a point.
Okay, you got a point. All right. So
hello.
With most new cars, at least from my own interpretation of it, when you see a spy shot or you see the rendering that the company comes out with, a lot of times it's like you probably don't like it with the initial.
Yeah, you gotta see it.
The initial look. You need to see it in person. Like when I first saw the Ferrari Daytona SP3, which is basically
sick.
An NA LaFerrari with that pays homage to a lot of their old great race cars from the 60s. That car in person is
So
spectacular.
sick.
That car coming down the road, seeing it at Car Week, like we saw a couple of them last year at Car Week.
Oh yeah, that car.
That car
Amazing.
is sick.
I was trying to think about what car that was. I just remember with the lights and the
Yeah,
red.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I
with the
was
lights
thinking-
and the doors and
I
the
sometimes don't know the
steering wheel. Yeah,
That's all right. That car
with
is
the blue seats.
Oh, that car
Does
is
have blue seats.
awesome. Like I think they totally hit it out of the park with that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, seeing the images of the new, the 12-cylinder, I don't know. It doesn't like pull at the heartstrings like so many like great Ferraris have pulled at like my heartstrings over the years, like 458, and seeing cars like that, the Daytona, like the SP3. Sam from the video team.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention this.
He went on Ferrari's Configurator and he took screenshots of it and then he put it into Photoshop and he changed some key elements of the design, like adding like a nice brushed aluminum stripe to the front of the car, adding some aluminum like just design elements to the front bumper,
amber corner lights.
yeah, adding in amber
Like the Daytona.
turn signals, like, and it improved the design so much. So I do think that once people start doing the tailor-made like custom Ferrari stuff, like it'll probably look better, but the stock images and the stuff that we saw,
Yeah, bizarre.
I'm not about it.
What does it start at? Do they announce pricing?
Oh, it's the replacement for the 812,
That's-
so it's
which
got to
is
be
a
500. It's got to be it's going to be 400 or 500 after people auction them out.
And it's funny because
Well,
know,
like, yeah,
I was
sorry.
a big no, don't worry about it.
We're being really
problem.
nice to
Hey,
each
no
other
problem.
today.
I was a still am huge F12 TDF fan. Like
That's my last Ferrari.
yeah.
I like the 812 Competizione. That thing's pretty sick.
Well, my point is, I love the F12 TDF so much. The 812 comes out, and it's like, oh, it's not as good as the F12
No.
TDF. Now this comes out, and I follow someone, I think whose father has an 812 comp, or maybe it's an 812 super fast. I don't know.
The comp is sick.
And now I look at that, and it's like, oh, that's f***ing good.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good looking car.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
really good. So, I mean, maybe that'll happen with this when the next thing comes out, but the whole, sport back situation with no window, that's
Yeah,
what's cool
it's just
about
like-
those styles of cars. The rear window is so long
Yeah.
and offers such a nice shape to the whole rear of the car to kind of break that up with the whatever material they're
Yeah.
using there is just weird to me.
You talking about the 812 comp or the new one?
Though how they did the new one, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't flow.
Yeah.
It breaks it up.
I mean, that's how I feel about the Roma too. I just can't
Dude,
do it.
Donald's gonna come.
I
for
don't
you.
care. I just can't.
Well, Roma's got a completely different shape. Like this.
Well, no, but I
this
mean,
thing
it's just
had
like but what
I
I'm
think the
saying
Roma's
is it's
elegant.
the same reaction that I had when it was announced.
right.
It was like because Ferraris have always
Like, bro,
been,
remember when the FF came out?
Yeah, like
That was sick.
or-
It was like,
That car was sick.
dude, they
Yeah.
nailed it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sport. It's an actual
yeah,
shooting brake.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not like I don't have that visceral like
the
oh,
heartstring
this is-
comment is it. It's like
Yeah,
it's not like oh
yeah,
my god, I
it's
need
just like
it.
I need this car. I haven't felt that way about a Ferrari in a long time.
Yeah.
and I used to always feel that way.
You know what I saw?
like that. I need that the
Yeah.
Barchetta.
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
That
Like-
car is amazing
like
to drive.
there's certain Ferraris, and listen. I know
This is incredible.
Oh, the 330.
330, yeah.
That car is amazing.
it was the first comfortable Ferrari, but
That car is amazing.
What I'm saying is, I felt this. I don't want to sound old, but I just feel like I felt this way for a little while with all the new modern Ferraris. Like I don't even know what they're coming out with anymore.
Oh,
like,
they come out so quick.
and I don't
it's
know.
like
I
you
don't
just
even know what
came
they
out
are.
with the 488, and now you got the F8, and now you got whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It used
I
to
don't
be
even
like
know.
like when the 360 came out, they they did the Stradale,
Yeah.
whatever, they did all that. And then the 430 came out. That was so. I don't know. I could just be getting old, but I just feel like
they have more. Ferrari has more models now because they have their just like McLaren, but they have their sports series and they do this Icona series where it's like the SP1, SP2,
Which I have no
Daytona
idea
SP.
anymore.
I don't either.
The Daytona SP1 and 2 are non-street legal, and they.
I know what they are, but I don't. When you that's why it took me so
It's-
long to
yeah.
recognize.
Yeah, when you say the
when you
name.
said SP3, I was like, which one is that?
Well-
I just don't even know.
SP1 and 2 are the ones with no.
No, I know
no
what they
roof.
are.
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
It doesn't come
it
to mind
doesn't-
immediately. It's not a
I have
picture.
to think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It's not like F50. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You know what car I've told you guys this, but you know what car I freaked out about recently? that I haven't freaked out about a car since probably seeing a Senna GTR on the road like 2 years ago. I've actually been thinking about the last time I freaked out about a car like this.
The Senna.
But we pulled up to the Goodwood Hotel in England a few weeks ago, and boom, Aston Martin Valkyrie in front.
Right.
And it was like,
that car is
my
wild.
God.
Yeah.
I spent like 20 minutes.
Yeah, you were freaking out.
Just freaking out and like straight serotonin rush over the Valkyrie, because when that car, I was an intern here when I first heard about that car. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen one yet. And
you can't get them in America yet.
yeah, you can't get them. And the proportions of everything, you got side gills and front gills and slits and all this stuff. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy what they did. And like no other, that's a hyper car.
Oh, yeah.
That's
$5 million car.
Right. That's a, like, f*** it, let's make this.
Yeah, like we're doing it.
Yeah.
And we went to, I was talking to someone over there, and we got on the topic of the Valkyrie, and they started talking about service. And apparently your first service with that car is like $150,000. And your second service is maybe more, because you have to rebuild the gearbox at 30,000 miles.
Well, you can hear it. Like we were able to see it a couple times.
No one's going to put 30,000 miles.
No.
And when we saw it like in the dark when we were leaving on the Saturday night.
Oh my God. Yeah, I saw him park at one point. I think you saw him leave, and I saw him on the other end parking the next night. And just pulling up to back into a space, you can tell the gearbox is like
it's so
kind
sick.
of funky, like an old like F1 Ferrari. It's like you kind of have to wait for it, and then it kind of just jerks into gear. But really cool car. There's
great videos of it on the track, and because they don't have to like adhere to any racing regulations, they can make it as fast and as it's basically a Formula 1 car.
Yeah.
And people go in it and they ride passenger, and it pulls like several G's.
Yeah. And
people get sick. Like Mr. JWW did a great video where he rides in one of them with I think the McLaren the Aston Martin test driver.
He's in the AMR Pro though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like
is that a track only, or is that a road car?
But it's like basically this.
It's similar. But
it's very similar, but
more downforce.
Much more downforce. Yeah.
He straight up said that it was like the craziest car experience of his life, and he genuinely got lightheaded in it.
Well, Chris Harris driving the AMR Pro and I think he drives the regular one. That video is nuts, and he just talks about how the AMR Pro is like literally
like where do you go from here?
Yeah, it's like it.
Well, I overheard the owner, who apparently is a major supercar and race car dealer in London, talking to some guy about it.
Right.
Yeah, so he was like, doing this little stuff around here, like Goodwood track to the hotel 2 miles, or like going to the shops.
It's probably not good for the car.
You can't do it. It's like you literally he had the the earphones on to block out the noise. He's like, you can't do it. But if you're on the right road in a rhythm, at one with the car type of thing, he's like, it's golden. Oh. It's like so good, but you have to be really pacing it out.
Yeah.
You can't be like, adhering to the rules.
Car.
Oh yeah, it's a major experience car. But it's like, that's the thing. You said, well, no one's going to drive at 30K miles. It's like, you have to drive these things.
Oh, of course.
It's like, they're not, that's the thing.
There's just nowhere to drive them. That's the problem.
Dude, it was so funny. We were here the other night. I was leaving, and a gentleman dropping off a car, and his friend walks in, and he kind of looks around. He says, so you don't drive any of these things, huh? And I was kind of like, well, we actually drove all these today.
Yeah.
Like all these, registered. It's not like, you can't drive them. It's like you have to drive them or they don't work.
No, yeah, we drive, yeah.
Well, speaking of things that have not been driven, there is a McLaren F1 that is coming up for private sale.
I saw this.
With RM that only has 254.7 miles is in the ad for it. And it's in a one-of-one color. I think it's Crichton Brown, they call it.
It looks nice.
It's
sick. A cool color.
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's not like a brown. It's almost into maroon territory.
It is really good looking. So my question to you guys would be, if say you were the lucky winner,
$25 million
no problem.
owner of the car.
If you were the lucky winner of that car, would you like set it like upside down in your house and like look at it like an art piece?
I would drive the living out of it.
Yeah. What would your first trip be?
Where would I drive? I would just drive it. I mean, if I'm buying yeah, to me that's like buying the car new. So it's like you're buying the car. I'm not buying it I have absolutely no ability to buy that car, but I think in the McLaren F1 space, you're never going to lose money. Period. It's just, it doesn't matter how much you buy it for, I guess. Obviously if you buy it for $50 million, but Rowan Atkinson totaled his car a few times and
twice.
sold it for a profit. So I don't think you're going to really have to worry about it. What's the difference between a 250-mile car and a 1,500-mile car?
Yeah.
So for me, like, you find this with a lot of collections, in something that I collect with vinyl, vintage records, vinyls. A lot of people will look for sealed records, and it's like the point of it is to listen to it.
I would love to
not,
see you in action with your record
yeah,
player.
so I've gotten a couple of those and I open them immediately. I don't care because I want to listen to it.
Well, it's the same thing with shoes.
It's the same thing with shoes. You wear them.
You wear them.
You can be respectful and you take care of it while you do it, and there's a process. But like, you're buying a car, especially one of arguably one of the top, if not the top driver's car ever made, and you're not going to drive it.
I know.
Yeah.
You're going to take it with you.
Of course, I'm going to drive it.
I think
there's 0%. I would drive it everywhere.
Yeah, you have to drive it. I think this situation is difficult because there's such a specific way you have to own the car.
Right.
There's such a demanding service requirement, and just putting the tires on is so you want to drive it, but this is one of those cars that you can't, like, you really can't drive it too much, because if you have a problem, the car's going away, and then you can't drive it. So
well, to change the alternator, you have to take the engine out.
Yeah, and it's like, to change the tires, you have to send the car to a track, and they have to bead the tires in the right way.
That's
so.
wild.
I mean, I would love to. I mean, look, another way is, we've got one of our most supportive members is a collector. He's probably got 30 or 40 cars. He's like the best gentleman we know. I'm not going to mention his name in case he doesn't want to be mentioned, but I met him because I was at the museum one day, and he walks around the corner, and this was like 4 o'clock, so we're like bringing in the flags. This is like 8 years ago, and he's like, "Oh, that's a Ferrari." I won't even mention what car it is. "Oh, that's a Ferrari yada yada," and we're like, "Yeah." He's like, "I have one of those," and I literally said to him, I said, "Respectfully, sir, no, you don't." I said, "You don't have one of these. There's 500 of them." He goes, "No, I bought one." He's super nice about it, and I was like, kind of busting his chops. "No, I bought one, and it had such low miles, I didn't want to drive it, so I bought another one."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I kind of like believed him, and then the more I talked to him, I did believe him. But that's one way to get around the problem.
Right.
If you have enough money, you buy a second one, and then one's a beater, and one you store and take to shows and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Ralph Lauren has 3.
Yeah, it's like, hello. Might as well. Well, the first 2, and then the third one came.
Doesn't he have an F1 GTR as well?
Yeah.
He does that papaya orange.
Papaya.
Sam, what do you want me to do with this thing?
We haven't done a gear check in a while. What do we have that's new? Anything?
Like that? Mate!
I love when we meet with people like Magnus or Matt Farah comes to town, and they walk in and they look at our gear and they're like,
Yeah, Matt
like,
and
you
Zach.
set this up every time.
Matt and
Same
Zach
thing. Yep.
were pretty impressed with all of our stuff.
They were
just use
awesome.
iPhones.
They have.
They have a whole different.
Their setup is it's like a lot easier than our
That's what
setup.
I mean. It's
though.
just easy.
Yeah.
That's what they
Such
go
a
after,
nice
but it's
studio.
still quality.
Dude, remember we recorded in their studio, and like before we even got up out of the chairs, they're like, "All right, just emailed it to you." It's like,
Yeah, that was so nice when we did the first episode with him, because they have a switcher. He just cut it like while we were.
dude, that was actually so dope.
And then he just handed it to me.
My friends like all saw that, and they were like, "Dude, you were on Farah's podcast," and I was like,
Yes.
sort of. Not really, but we were there. Like,
Yeah. So going back to what we were talking about, like I can understand someone buying a McLaren F1 and doing that, but like when someone does it with like a, like
an E92 M3
or like like sometimes you'll see them on Bring a Trailer, like a 2002 like Yukon XL with like 400 miles on it, and you're like,
why?
But
You're not buying that, bro.
I want to know, I want to know who did that, and then I want to know the story. But then I want to buy it because that's like the car I grew up in. So, but like at the same time, it's like I just don't understand it. If that makes sense, like I don't own these cars. I don't. Well, just from my perspective, I have to use the product what it's intended for.
Well. What's crazy about these cars is, like, if you own one, like, yeah, you spent a lot of money on it, and I understand, like, you don't want to damage it or whatever, but it's like, we do services on all these cars every year. the Bugattis have to be serviced even if they're not driven.
Even if they're not driven. So
Even,
you might as well
even
drive
if they're
it.
not driven.
It's time.
Yeah, it's like you have to do it.
You
So
might
it's
as
like
well drive
if
it.
you're going to service the,
Yeah.
the McLaren F1 and not drive it, you're spending unnecessary money. You might as well drive it if you're going to service it.
Yeah,
Dude.
the fuel cells disintegrate. I mean, you have to.
You have to spend $50 a year on them, basically.
Yeah, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, on a lower scale, like it happens to like me all the time when I talk to anyone about motorcycles.
Yep.
They're like, "Oh, you have a Panigale. Like, how many miles do you have on it?" And I'll be like, "Oh, almost 9,500 miles." And they're like, "You put miles on that?" It's like, yeah. Why wouldn't I?
It's like, dude, if I
I want
wanted
to have fun.
It's like if I wanted
It's a
something to look
production
at.
car.
Yeah, it's
Or
a production bike. Who cares?
It's like if I wanted something to sit at my house and look at, I'd be like into plants. It's like there's a reason why we like vehicles. It's
Yeah.
like you drive them.
It's the thrill. It's the experience. It's
Yeah.
especially sports cars or I wonder, do people do it with boats?
That's such a good question.
I don't
have no
think so.
idea. I feel like
I
no.
don't think so.
But I mean, there were a lot. Look, I grew up on boats. There were a lot of people who would put their boat in the water in the spring, take it out in the fall, and it didn't move. It's like, and they were never there. It's like one thing if you go and
So
sleep
what's the
on.
point?
I don't understand. It's like, well, I don't have the time. It's like, then sell the boat.
Why?
Like, get a dog. Like, I don't know.
One of the good friends of the museum and a close personal friend of me who he often lends his exotic motorcycle collection to the museum or certain bikes for his
He's a
exhibit.
man.
He built a trimaran in his garage that took him 6 years to build, and it's like all carbon fiber, and I don't know the exact
Wow.
process of it, but he is like the prime example of someone who like has the means to do this stuff, but like he has so much fun with it. He takes his boat out and he does this like Wednesday night thing in the summer, and he wins like every single race. And now they've started to add like a handicap time
Wow.
to the other.
How big do you know how big it is? Is it like a one-person boat type of situation?
No.
Or is it like,
He and his there's like a whole like cubby area, and they can comfortably sit
wow.
lounge area on the inside. They take it up to Maine, and like
Wow.
they camp in it.
That's,
and
like,
there's
next
a
level.
kitchen, and like it is so sick. But he built the whole thing by hand, which is amazing.
I always knew he was kind of not nuts, but he's like he's
a
like
genius.
he's like dialed.
Oh, and he took every single step possible to make it as light as possible.
Yeah.
So all of like the pins to like hold in the net
No
and stuff,
way, like titanium or
all
something?
machine titanium. Like he's the man.
Wow.
He's so cool.
Very cool.
Well, and that's what I appreciate. Obviously people ask all the time, we have so many cars. How do you drive them all? And we do drive them all. So obviously some get driven more than others, right? Some are, we can't take the Selena 7 out every day.
No, it's like you
know what
can't
I mean?
drive every car every day.
But what I love, our chairman, whenever we get a new car, we bring it to the house, and usually he'll take one of us out in the car, and he just rips. I mean, that's what it should be. You enjoy the car, you drive it out as it's intended to be. Yeah, maybe because we have so many cars, we're not putting 5,000 miles on every car every year, but they all get exercised, and we warm them up properly, we put them through
Yep.
their paces, and
And the key is, you don't want them to break when the owner has it.
that's
So
correct.
That
So
means
he expects us to drive them like he does.
like we're not saying we drive them like illegally or like we stole them, but it's like you have to rev the cars out. You have to understand how they're being used. It's like I'm just sitting here with this Alpha right here.
Right.
This is a car. The chairman's driven it. Have you driven it?
No, I want.
Sean's driven it. I know Steve drove it, and he came back. Steve's a BMW. He's got an E46 M3. He comes back, and he's driven a good amount of our stuff, and he looks around and he says, that car was impressive. This car can't sit below 3,000 RPMs.
Right.
You have to be up in the revs,
foul the
and you
plugs.
have to be.
Just die.
It just kind of like stutters
I
along.
wanna drive that
But
thing.
once you're in the power band, it's like
and it's just
it's
so
like-
sorted.
it's
It's just
Sweet.
it's so.
and it's
Our 888's gutted race seats. No key, fuel pump on.
I love
kill
the
switch
flare.
on.
I love the flared fenders. It's so badass. looking.
The only challenge is when you get in, you have to make sure the wheels are straight, or else you get on the road and you're just,
you're just like, hello.
hello. Okay, I gotta pull over and reset this. But
But this is an example of a car I wouldn't even, there wouldn't even be a thought. I would take this every day of the week over that new Ferrari. Wouldn't even be a conscious
Ow.
thought.
It is so sweet.
Yeah, it's good. But that's the thing. All these cars have a reason to be driven, and there's like a real you do this for feelings. Like, how do you feel looking at it? How do you feel driving it? And they've all got unique feelings. And, it's cool because on certain days, our chairman or whoever will pick something because whether it's his mood or it's raining and they want grip or whatever. And it gets you a different part of your brain going. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. And we also have the unique perspective of that we actually don't own the cars. We have vested interest because we look after them, but we don't own them.
Yep.
So there's certain cars that we've always wanted to drive and we drive it, and not having that vested interest financially, like you get a true
honest unbiased
opinion on the car. And there's been not a lot, but there's been a handful that I thought would be different than they are. One way or the other.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of
the MP412C? When that car came out, I remember I used to see him. I'm like, wow, that car is it's pretty subtle. It's not really.
That car is.
It's not really good looking.
Very fast.
Like when it came out, and then when you drive it, it's like.
Whoa!
This car is insane.
It is so fast.
It's so good.
14-year-old car.
14. It's so such
fast.
A good car.
The blow-off noises are insane.
Yep.
The turbo noises are insane.
And it's so livable.
When you put the little window down while you're driving,
the rear window down.
It's the most livable of that kind of car.
It's wow.
So that was a car that surprised me from I went into it thinking that it wasn't going to be great, and then I drove it and I was like, this thing is.
Yeah.
I've recommended this car to so many people because of how good it is.
So fast.
Obviously, then you get into people saying, "Oh, the service on them and whatever." But from a perspective of just purely driving a car that will shock you, that's one of them. Just based on.
Oh my God!
That was their first iteration of a car since the F1, and
Oh my God!
It is a great car.
That was a great car.
Yeah.
From a negative aspect. A car that I thought was going to be great that necessarily wasn't. I have to think about it, but
I can share one.
I think, yeah. I mean,
no, you go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I'll go. I drove.
I have to think.
I drove the Mercedes Evo 2.
Oh
wing,
yeah,
right.
Flares,
yeah, that's a good example.
Front lip.
Very, very underwhelming.
It's a DTM car. I'm a BMW guy. I understand where Mercedes comes from building their cars. It still felt like a road-going Mercedes. It was supple, it was soft, it was quiet, it was controlled. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm in a boy racer right now.
Right.
It's kind of like
slow.
when you're sitting down looking out from it, you're in a 190.
What is it?
It's slow.
You have to rev it out, and
it's slow.
Slow.
Like when.
Well, no, it's slow even by that generation.
Yeah, it was like I had high expectations because you look at it and it's like this is one of the best looking cars ever. And then you're driving it, and it's kind of like it's a Mercedes, like it's a road Mercedes.
The E30 M3, which is the direct competitor of that, is a lot more exciting.
Well, it is, and it's one of those things where even people who own them. There was a guy it's the guy who works for Rimac, the top guy, one of the top guys at Rimac, bought an E30 M3 Sport Evo, which I think is the 2.5, and he's like, it's always been my dream car. I finally could afford it. I bought it, and it still wasn't like up to what I expected, and it's kind of like. Both of those cars, and it's like, look, I'm not revving the piss out of an Evo 2.
No,
it's
of course not.
2,000-mile car. You don't want something to break on that. But that and the M3, you have to be at Redline.
Yes, but you also know immediately when you drive something now that what it's going to feel like at certain.
Yeah, and it's all.
And
it's
you
like,
have the immediate first impression. Like there's certain cars that you drive, like just pulling out, you know what it's gonna.
Yeah, 992 GT3 RS.
Yes, that you just immediately
like,
know what it's to a point what it's capable of.
Yep.
How it's going to feel at certain. Yeah, and I know exactly
ways,
what you mean. And when you pull out of that car, I've only driven it a handful of times.
It's a 190.
You know what you're driving.
Yep.
That's the best way to put it. It's a great car.
I would love to. If anyone has an
E30
M3 that they want to just get me 10 minutes of seat time in, I'd love to do a comparison.
Yeah.
I could sell a kidney for it too, or a bruised chest plate.
One of your cracked ribs.
One of my cracked ribs. I'll sign it too.
Here
I'll cast it and sign it.
I would say my. Hold on, who's calling me? Just make sure it's not the boss. It's not. It's David. It's all set.
I'll answer.
I would say for me, my experience driving any Ferrari from the 80s.
Yeah.
Very underwhelming.
Even the 90s.
The 308, a 308
No.
that's like dialed
No.
nicely is nice to drive.
I drove a 308 recently with these are chunky shoes. I had my Vans on. Still couldn't get the pedals right. Still wasn't in the right position.
Well,
And he's 6'5" too. so
yeah,
it's-
I'm 6. It's like, look
because
at me. I
you
shouldn't
drive
fit,
them
and I
like
fit.
this. You drive them like this.
Well, that's almost every Italian car from the 80s and 90s. But like, you know, I haven't driven a 355 with a stick. That might be cool.
That's probably
We're
like
talking
the
late
90s
80s. I mean, late 90s. 308.
355s are great.
Yeah, I haven't driven a stick. But yeah, that's like, it's like, I just,
No, 80s Ferraris for me is just.
yeah, he hates F40s.
I don't hate F40s.
Hates 288.
Have you driven the F40?
I've never driven a 288. Yes,
How is it?
the F40.
Yeah.
It's
I got a ride in it.
It's 2 cars in one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because
Because
under boost, it's
way,
probably
the way it drives is, and I've never driven it nearly at its potential. I've driven it from Park Place to here, which is like 15-minute drive. What 10
10
8
miles.
I've driven it to the
Museum.
museum. I've driven it around. I've never really driven it on like true open roads where it should be. But I've the best way to describe the F40, in my opinion, is like I said, it feels like 2 cars. So when you're driving around without boost, it feels like a 308.
So could you daily it?
Yeah,
You could daily
100%.
it?
When you get on the accelerator and when the turbos kick on,
Oh my God.
it's a completely different car.
Well, so when
Yeah.
I got a ride with Ben Mercer, we were going to the museum. It was a Saturday morning.
Oh,
8
and that
a.m.
was during COVID.
That was during COVID, and we had a police detail with that and the club sport, and it was Sergeant Cortez. And whenever we had Sergeant Cortez, he would always give us
open up a
room to
little bit.
let us open it up. So we get on Valley Road, F40's all warmed up, and we get into boost. I think I have a video of this. The turbos are just chatting at you. They are just
Completely
making all the
different.
noises, and it's a hard on and off.
Yeah,
when the valves
off.
close after the boost
what I
lets
mean.
out, it's just like a hard door shut, like at the service dealer when that fucking garage door comes down super fast.
Yeah, yeah. That's-
It's off, and then the boost is on, and then it's off.
That's
it's
what it is.
It's like
That would.
on and off.
whoa. And me and Ben looked at each other like,
It's
Did not
it's
expect
nuts.
that.
Was
Because
Ben,
when you're
was Ben
because when
wearing
you're
his backwards hat then?
Because
Backwards
when
hat
you're-
Ben is.
this was 2020 Ben.
yeah, because when you're putzing around town, it's
fine.
not,
It's chill.
Yeah.
It's late, but when the turbos, yeah, I mean, it's aggressive.
Well, that was like the GT2 RS. That blew me away.
GT2 RS has power all.
The
That
GT2
RPM.
RS,
It's
I was
not really.
I could not get over how I got in that thing and I was like,
It's so
God
good.
fucking, what do you want me to do? Man, I'm small. I'll put it up here.
Yeah, Jerry's not like me. It could have been
The-
a small forward on the Pistons.
I could not get over the power and how aggressive the GT2
Sean's like,
RS
how
was.
is the GT2 RS? This is 991. I'm like, well, I could have laid a 4th gear burnout all the way from
That's what
storage
it
to
is.
here. It's so much power.
I can see why so many of those have been crashed. That is not a toy.
The 997 GT2 has a closer.
Here we are talking about Porsche.
has a closer. Well,
Crap.
no, but when we're talking about turbocharged, I mean, this is just what we're experiencing with the 99s. Going back to another car, that the 997 GT2 was that car feels fake fast. That's the only way to describe it.
I've said this
What do you
before.
mean?
Go
What
ahead.
do you mean
Go
fake
ahead.
fast?
because
Yeah, because you feel like you're going fast, and you look down, you're doing $160.
Oh,
no, the fake fast
okay.
because I remember the first time I drove it on Valley Road. I think I don't remember where I was going. I think I was bringing it to the house,
Must have
and I remember turning right, and like the F40, when you're driving around town, it just feels like a normal
Yeah.
997, and then you lay into it, and it's just boom, and then you're just going, and then it's like, okay, then you look down, and it's kind of like when you launch an electric car, you have all the torque right away. It kind of just feels like it shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and it does.
That's kind of what. But this isn't not a naturally aspirated.
Turbocharged.
Turbocharged.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And
I
it's
think that
That's more
generation
challenging too, being a stick. It's not like the PDK where you can.
Oh, and it's just boop.
Yeah, so you got to be ready to shift it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a hard car to drive.
No, I mean it's not. I mean,
Fast,
I've never driven the car at its limit. I mean, I've driven it a few times, and I've brought it to Warwick. I did a long drive in that car, but there's just certain cars that are like, they scare the shit out of you, and that's one of them. Like, those are the cars that I like because, you know, you get into like this new Ferrari or you get into anything new, and it's just like, you putz around, you can go and whatever. But these cars are like, okay, like
that was my experience with the 2RS. I got out of it and I was like, oh, that is like serious car.
And we're at like 30%.
Yeah. It's
I
like,
was
okay.
I was pretty shocked by it.
Yeah,
and then, like, dude. I drove that and the 991.2 GT3 RS back to back, and I was like, okay, like this chassis like makes sense with this engine, whereas like this chassis does not make sense with the twin turbos.
Right. And the cars I really enjoy the most are right now, just like I get, because we're in our environment, we're exposed to so much. It's just the cars that really like I kind of already have, and I'm not really I don't want to say I'm not excited about them, but like they're not my usual cup of tea. Like, for example, we just got the Lamborghini Sterrato, and we got that delivered, I want to say last week.
It's Friday,
yeah. So Friday. And I don't really know much about the car. It's a Lamborghini. I don't really.
Do you want me to go speak Italian to it so it can like?
I know what it is. Like, it's a Huracan, whatever. I know. Like, kind of, but I haven't really. Those who know me know I like dive really deep. I get like super into things, and I don't really know much about that car. But when I drove it and I brought it over to the house, the thing is pretty epic.
It's like the Dakar. Driving the Dakar is amazing.
No, this is like it's completely different. But yes, you get the same sensation of the Dakar where it's like, you could drive over anything. But this has a 10-cylinder, the valves open, and it sounds like a loud ass Lamborghini. It's so fast, and you can just drive over anything. It's just a weird. It just messes with your usual way of. Your perception of driving. It's like the Escalade V. It's like the Dakar. It's like the
Escalade
just like
V.
The full-size Escalade V. It's just like you feel like you're driving something you're not.
That's exactly how I felt when I drove the Dakar. It was like really weird. I put it in like, so normally on the route that we go, there are some pretty bad potholes, and with all the other cars, we have to like. Steve just ran off set to go sneeze. We
you like fell on the sink. He fell over a fence. Okay, anyway.
He bruised his chest plate at car storage. That's exactly how I felt, because like, the route that we do, a lot of times there's a lot of potholes on that one section when you turn up over there. Yeah. And every other car, you have to be super careful. You got to go around them.
Yeah,
I had it in the rally mode, and I was just like, no problem. That car is so epic. I think that's the best modern Porsche.
For here, for sure. For the island,
for Rhode Island. For Rhode Island. Okay, let's not talk about Porsche. We got to.
You keep bringing up Porsche. I'm talking about Lamborghini. I'm talking about Ferraris. You keep going GT2 RS, Dakar, whatever.
I was adding context to the conversation. Okay, back to the Sterrato.
Yes.
Where is it?
It's at the house.
Oh. What color? It's orange, right?
It's like lava orange, like the Porsche. But it's we got the most comfortable seats, which are super. It's just, again, a lot of people think when you buy certain cars, you need to put certain seats in them. You need to spec them out in a certain way. I feel like this car is spec'd in a way that is perfect for the car. And it's, as far as like the seats, as far as like
what it
should be for, it has roof rails, not roof
rails.
And it's just like a hysterical car. I got the front lights.
Well, it's funny.
I like the little lights.
It's just amazing that companies spend so much like R&D, so much money, so much time making stupid cars like this.
Well,
why the frick do we need an off-road Lamborghini? Don't care, make it.
Listen, the crazy thing is when we were ordering it, I was talking to the sales guy who deals with us with the Lamborghinis, and I straight up asked him, I was like, is this a popular car? Like, are people buying this? Like, do people want this car? And he goes, he's been with Lamborghini for, I don't know, since the 2008, 2009. And he goes, since my time at Lamborghini, this has been the most in-demand car I've ever seen.
It's so bizarre.
Which is just like the weirdest thing. Oh, yeah. Like people want it. I mean, they only made 1,800 of them.
I knew it was coming.
But they only made 1,800 of these Sterratos, which means they probably made 5,000. But the which
Come on, Chief.
but you know, I mean, and I really do wish, and I think, you know, I was talking to my friend Franco, who sells Porsches, and when the Dakar was announced and was started to come out, people, you know, it was like 50 grand over sticker at, you know, dealerships, and he had a guy who bought one, got it, paint a sample, like a beautiful green, and he ended up not buying it because he just didn't think that it was going to be a great car, and, you know, didn't. But that was a lot of what the perception was before it came out, and then people started taking delivery of them and really realized how great of a car it was and how they drive and their experience with them. And the Sterato's the same way. I really wish people could drive these cars and really see, you know, they're so good.
Yeah.
And I really believe I would take a Sterrato over, you know,
me too,
an STO or something like that, because to me personally, it just makes more sense.
For Rhode Island.
Well, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, whatever you're doing with it. And it's like, well, and even Dakars, people want 400 for Dakars still.
Yeah,
it's
because
like,
they are, because.
And it's like, you see people build them, like not build them, but build like off-road 911s.
Safaris.
And it's like, yeah, like Safaris.
Yeah,
it's like, you can't do what the factory built that car or the Lamborghini to do, because it's just the amount of attention they gave it is just nuts. And it's like, they come out, you know, it's going to come out as a good product.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what is it going to be like? Was it not going to work? It's like not going to drive insane or whatever.
Harry's Garage did a great video where he takes the Sterrato on his farm in the UK, and he's just like, he's flying up hills, he's like drifting on top.
Does he like it?
He loved it. He thought, and I genuinely respect that guy's opinion. I think
that's your boy.
He does. I think he does the best car videos on YouTube, besides us, of course.
Yeah, he's really good.
But he loved it. He was like, "This Lamborghini is fantastic." Like, you could tell he's kind of like a no nonsense guy.
You know what?
You could tell he was having fun with it.
This just brings up a thought in my mind that I have a question for you guys now. Like, these are cars that, you know, are not supposed to do what they do, right? And, you know, it's got me thinking about, like, what is, like, you know, isn't it always fun to, like, hustle a car that's not supposed to be hustled? Or
yes.
Like my Corolla. like, what is the best car that's not supposed to be hustled that you hustle?
We joke about it with my Tesla, is that we want to, like, I just beat the living shit out of it.
Sean has a fixation of, like, driving his Tesla off a cliff.
Like, I want to do the thing in Alaska.
That's destructive.
At the end of that,
I want to lift it, put off-road tires on it, like, just things that shouldn't be done with it, and then, like, at the end of its life, I just want to launch it off a cliff. Like, I just think it's, you know,
it's destructive.
My mom's RAV4.
Dude, RAV4's hook, dog.
I rarely drive that car, and then, like, when I have to, I'm like, this thing should not handle this, because I'm used to, like, the Mini and the Boxer, which are very, you know, small little nimble cars, and that RAV4, there's a couple turns that I've taken with it, and I'm like, dude, excuse me?
Yo, Sam, remember my RAV4 when we went to LA? Dude, that thing, I was just switchback, and it's just, it does it.
Toyota does things.
I'd give you the love taps.
No. You're incriminating us, Sean. Little kiss.
I had the Tahoe. We're gonna have to rent a couple cars again.
Yeah, we are.
I think my favorite car to hustle is a Suburban.
Yeah, Suburban's
like, that thing is
really
a tank,
well.
And it's like, they do have good balance. It's like, they're very heavy, but it's not like there's a lot of weight over the front or a lot of weight in the wrong place. It's like, you plant the front end and it kind of hooks a little. It's like, what's going on here?
The Denali's with, like, the magnetic ride height suspension or whatever.
Well, the new ones are nuts.
Those are great.
The new ones are crazy.
So
and they've got
well.
like, what, an 8-speed or a 10-speed? It's like, so you always got torque.
Yeah, they handle so well.
It's so funny. Like, you know, and then back to, like, the Escalade V. It's like, driving that, it's like, what the hell is going on in Cadillac? It's like, is there?
You're like driving. It sounds like you're driving a C8 Z06, and you're driving this fucking Escalade, and it brakes, which is weird. The suspension's great. It's just the weirdest thing. It's just so bizarre.
I haven't driven that. I drove the
like, Tiff, we're getting an Escalade.
Yeah. Do you like the electric Hummer?
No.
No?
I like the
I think that thing is so epic.
Sorry. I like the way it drives, and I like.
That's not a car I want to hustle.
But it's not a car I
so
want to.
It's scary big.
Yeah,
Can't
it's not a
hustle
car I want
that.
to own or a car I want to. But I do like the turning radius on that is insane.
Yeah, it's so nuts.
And it has a lot of really cool things, but I feel
Is
like
that a gimmick car?
I feel like it's kind of a confused product.
Is that a gimmick car?
Yes.
I think. Well, when
Like, why did they make that?
when
tax credits.
when they came out
Okay.
when they came out with the original Hummer, it was just like that was like the thing to have if you were somebody was to like drive this like ridiculous.
What, like the H2?
No, the
Yeah,
H1
the
Alpha,
H1
baby.
you're
the H1 like
They used to sell them at Cadillac
everyone
dealerships.
in LA like had them, and it was like the car to have. And now I feel like when the electric Hummer came out, it was kind of the same thing. And now that there are like other options, Rivian and some of these other trucks, it's people are like, yeah, I'm rather gonna go for a Rivian or something.
The
like
Hummer
that.
just was. They didn't really.
It's almost. I feel like it's a meme truck.
It is because they just threw batteries essentially at this.
Hog of a
There's
fucking
always
truck.
the issue with electric cars. I know we've talked about it. Is how many like the weight versus how many batteries you put. I mean, you can keep putting batteries in the car, but it's just going to weigh it down, and therefore you're going to lose range no matter what. The Hummer, it weighs 10,000 pounds. It has the heaviest, largest battery pack of any electric vehicle there is. I mean, it just is. It's hysterical, but you would never know it driving it. And I don't think I've never. I think I maybe have seen one other Hummer.
I've seen a few.
Hummer.
I saw one.
Well, the new one.
I saw the new
couple of
SUV
them.
today.
The new SUV. I mean, like when they first came out.
But it's almost like they came at everyone who was like, "You're not taking my trucks," and was like, "Here's an electric truck. What do you think?" And they're like, "All
Take
right,
my truck."
I take my truck. I got my new truck." It's like,
No, I mean it is a
All
cool.
right,
It is a cool thing. I like it. I like all the things, but it was kind of like.
it's just
It was
weird.
kind of like Tesla with the Model X. They kind of just were like, let's put weird doors on it, and like it has a lot of weird.
Yeah, well, here's
things with it.
the thing. Like, all these electric cars have weird things, and like I think we can all agree that Tesla's going like this right now, and
Yeah,
no other
literally-
company.
Literally everyone I worked with.
Well,
got fired.
but
I'd like to see the correlation between Sean leaving the company and it going down.
Oh yeah, well it was going down, and then Sean left, and they had a little uptick, but then it went back. But the thing is, all these other companies make gas cars, so it's like you look around, it's like who's really making electric cars, and it's like I think everyone kind of realizes now that the only company we have real hope in is Rivian, because they're the ones
Right.
really building
Well, Hyundai
electric
too.
cars with a quality product.
Hyundai too.
And
Hyundai too.
what's thing about Rivian too. Yeah, they make a very and they make products people want, like those two
Great
new
customer
ones.
service.
Oh, the
Yeah, the
little
new
they look like the
hatchback
launch
thing.
of Delta.
Everybody
So
I
sick.
worked with at Tesla early on, my manager, my manager's manager, like all my favorite people, all of them work at Rivian.
Whoa.
Really?
Oh yeah, like the early
Interesting.
Tesla people.
So you think that? I mean, I think they're struggling right now, but do you think in a couple years they're gonna improve?
Rivian?
Rivian,
Like
the product, they make a great product. It's the
Money-wise.
same thing with Tesla. I mean, the product early on was great. Tesla's kind of at fault. They've not really changed their product. It's been the same. They're banking on the infrastructure, which is great, but how far is that going to take
Is
you?
Rivian cutting prices like Tesla is?
Rivian was at fault where the issue with them was they announced their pricing pre-COVID and they locked it in. So if, like, for example, my dad got a Rivian and
He was locked in.
You were locked in at the. He was
Dialed.
super locked in.
So locked in.
He was locked in at the price that was announced. COVID happened. The cars weren't built yet.
Ooh.
Supply chain issues. All these things that drove prices up of
Like everything else.
materials, like
Yeah.
everything else. But Rivian then came back and said, you know what, we have to increase the price of the cars to all the people who locked it in. And then, a bunch of people got upset. Then they went back and said, okay, we're actually going to honor the original price.
That's tough.
So a lot of these cars that we're making for people like my dad who put in reservations early on, they lost money on because they had to honor a certain thing. But I think with this new product they're coming out with, I mean, there's no question the product is great. They're dealing with a lot of the similar issues with Tesla early on, where if the biggest issue with us when the Model S, it was just the Model S, was body damage. If the car got in an accident, it was $40,000. So body shop's not wanting
they
to
don't
work
wanna
on the
touch
car,
it. Yeah, that's a whole
not
thing.
having parts for it. So this is all stuff that will come. Obviously they're in the early adopter phase still, but they clearly have a product that works. Customers love the product.
Customer
it is a great
service
product.
is good. I think
they come to your house. And
they come to your house
yeah.
quickly. But I think what's interesting is, early on in electric cars, it was like, oh, the Tesla's $60,000 and the Fisker Karma's $80,000. Like, when are we going to see a $25,000 electric car? Here's the thing, Chief.
$30,000 cars don't exist anymore.
$30,000 cars are now $50,000 cars. Like a loaded Toyota Corolla is like pushing $35,000.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we talking about?
It's
So, like, I think, the Rivian, they say it's going to be in the 40s. It's going to be a $52,000 vehicle.
Yeah.
It's like, when it comes out in 2 years, you're not going to sniff it with any options for under 50. But I think that's the new $30,000.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, that's kind
what
of
it
just
is.
where we're kind of settling at with how prices have increased, how wages have increased, how everything has increased, and it's just, that's where we're at.
Sounds like we're gonna get a pair of E90 M3s.
That's my new thing. It's just like, I'm just going to sit and eat rice and beans for the next 2 years and just get a fucking slick top E90 and just say, you know what? There we go. And just spend like $88 every 3 days on gas.
Tandem drift the exit on the way to our homes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How about
But
no,
I mean,
Chief?
it is just so insanely difficult to be a successful car company.
It's
just
so hard.
insanely
and it's like,
difficult.
you see all the cars on the lots and it's like, how do people buy all these cars? Because like, you look around, it's like, everyone has a freaking car in this country. Why do we all need a million more this year? It's like, where are they all going? And it's like, I always used to say, why would I ever buy a new car? You can buy a used car that you actually want for a quarter of the price, as long as it's been maintained well.
And we were constantly, Tesla, my time there, we were constantly fighting because it was a public company, and we all know the stock value was, the market cap of the company was everything. We weren't making money, but the market cap was, the company was valued higher than GM at some points.
Yeah.
But we weren't making money. So we were constantly fighting getting cars delivered at the end of every quarter for us to report to the investors how many cars we delivered. We only had one factory, so it was for the entire world. So all the European cars were delivered first, were built and delivered to Europe, and then the East Coast cars were built, the middle of the country, all the way to the West Coast, always at the end of the quarter. So every end of quarter, we had to deliver all of our cars because that's when they all came.
Oh, wow.
And we had like literally to
Not stressful at all.
the last minute of that end of quarter, we were delivering cars to produce, to make sure that we would hit numbers. And early on, Elon would email the company and say, if we don't hit our numbers, we're not going to be a company. They had that's how difficult it is to be a company. That's just from a delivery aspect for a public company, not only the manufacturing, everything that goes into the tooling. That
would be
absurd.
such a good Netflix documentary to watch. Sean and the boys running cars in the last 25 minutes. We gotta go to the city, boys. Strap them up. And then the guy's like, "It's got no juice."
I was delivering cars. We were the closest delivery center to Buffalo, New York, so we were delivering cars to Buffalo.
Oh my God.
We were.
That's far.
Could you
from
imagine
where-
watching
6
this
hour
on
drive.
Netflix?
And
It would give me
by the
like
That would make the company money.
by the time
would.
the
It
Model
would.
3 came out, we were delivering cars at the end of quarter. So for like 2 weeks straight, I'm talking every day for 2 weeks straight, we were delivering cars every 10 minutes. So like on a Saturday, the most amount of cars we delivered on one day was like 107 cars.
And you'd like work is this talking business hours or like
Business
you go
hours,
until
every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No, I mean we would stay later if we needed to, but I mean,
what was obviously you don't have a big margin for error, but what was like the paperwork aspect of it? Like,
if you didn't have all and that was another thing. New Jersey was a little more difficult as far as, because these are titled objects. So getting temporary tags, like we had to have everything perfect for when a customer came in to take delivery, because you like literally 10 minutes from taking delivery or from getting there to taking delivery of your car and leaving. 10 minutes.
that's insane.
Like that's
so
what we were
everyone on the team had to be doing their
job. If a customer and people would come with checklists, like looking at like if there's damage on the car, they would like look for things. Like we that's really what changed it for me, because we went from having the Model S and the Model X, where we were providing, we went from, with the same team, delivering 14 cars on a busy Saturday to 80 to 100 with the same team in place. So the customer experience just wasn't there. We weren't able to answer calls. We weren't able to, we just couldn't. So that's really what changed it for me. So all I was doing, I was a firefighter. That's what my nickname was. Anytime there was an issue, a customer was upset, that was me.
There's Barry's Transport here, and there's Barry's
so
Fire Service in
that's
Jersey.
Just what it was.
Barry comes out with the fire suit, and you hear all the employees, "Go get him, brother!" That's crazy, dude. That is a nutty story.
I can't.
Did you have many issues, or was it mostly?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go into them? Or?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Well, you mentioned at one point to me, if a car came in and something was damaged, what would you do with the dealer?
The biggest thing that we had early on was, with the Model 3 specifically, was when that car was announced, the standard color was black. So everybody was ordering black. And if anyone knows
black
anything
shows
about
the
black
damage.
cars,
Swirls.
they show everything.
Yep.
Everything. So, customers would refuse delivery because, the littlest scratch, and then a lot of people go on forums, they read, you need to talk, So we got to the point where...
Go talk to Barry, the firefighter. He'll solve all your problems.
So all of these cars were
every 6 minutes. Go get him, brother!
So we went through phases of transporting these cars to dealerships as well. So they first came wrapped, then they didn't come wrapped, then they came wrapped. They were getting damaged no matter what.
Oh, God.
But mostly,
why were they getting damaged so much? Just from
they're
transport?
open car carrier. Yeah, from transport. So a lot of these cars are transport damage just from being exposed to the elements. The black cars, normal, whatever, we cleaned them, but they, you could still find things. So eventually we were able to convince, I think it was on, I don't remember. I think it was on we had a manager call with Elon, and one of the suggestions was we essentially begged him to make the cars standard color white, and that eventually happened.
Yep.
And that was a big game changer. But we had a room at our car storage building, or not car storage, at our dealership, just full of bumpers, ready for when cars came.
Oh my God.
With damage on the bumpers or scratch, so we could just swap them right out.
That is insane.
I mean, it's just, and this was all Model 3s. Model S's and X's were fine. Model 3s just completely changed the whole organization.
But why? Because they were making so much more of them, and people
It was a
because
new
they were the
thing,
affordable.
and-
The model, like I said, Model X and X. We went from. We went from delivering on a busy Saturday, which was always the busiest day, 14 to 17 Model S or X's. That was a busy day. And then we went from delivering that with, like I said, the same team in place to delivering 80 to 100.
Oh my God.
All Model 3s, pretty much.
That is insane.
So that's really what changed it.
How stressed was Barry during that time in his life?
You can talk to Roger too. When Roger got physically sick.
Oh my God.
When he left the company, he his health completely took a turn for the better.
Oh my
Because that's
God.
how stressful it was
That's-
at points.
So what about you? What was your health like?
I was fine.
Barry's nothing affects me.
No. It was different. I mean, everyone, it was great. I mean, I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but it was insane.
I'm all
So
set
you
with
can't
that.
replicate that time period. You just can't walk into a company and have that experience. At that formative time at Tesla, being Tesla with Elon Musk and the whole thing, and just a unique.
I mean, we figured
situation.
it out, and then there was a period in time in New Jersey. Again, very difficult, but Elon wanted the ability for customers to be able to walk in the door. From walking in the door to leaving, 10 minutes ordering a car and taking delivery. If you came off the street and you wanted, you're just oh, I'm here. I want to buy a car.
On your way to buy a lollipop.
10 minutes to buy a titled object.
So what?
The quickest we were able to do one was 32 minutes from walking in the door to leaving.
Which is if you've ever been to a conventional car dealership, buying a car takes several hours.
It takes a while.
And the reason
dude,
in New Jersey it's difficult was it had to do with, in New Jersey, in other states, in order for you to get a temporary tag and register the car, you need insurance that is VIN specific.
Yep.
In other states, you don't. You can just have proof of car insurance, and then you can take the car.
Isn't Rhode Island?
I don't know.
I think
but
Rhode
in
Island
New Jersey,
is
it was VIN specific. So we had to match, and then the individual had to call the insurance company. That's what took the time. And then our DMV specialist had to essentially skip everyone else who was in queue for getting temporary tags to produce a temporary tag through the New Jersey DMV portal, and then execute all the paperwork. I mean, it's not like you just walk in and swipe a card. It's like a titled object.
Yeah.
You need to be able to produce all these things in order to take delivery of a vehicle.
I'm sure the people at the DMV really appreciate it. It's like, hey, I'm in line here.
So it was all like crazy shit like that. But I mean, it was amazing, and it was a great experience, but it was nuts.
Firefighter Barry. Can we reenact you?
We had a guy get so pissed.
got a
We
mother.
actually had to put a
Hell yeah.
we had a I had to put a padlock, not a padlock, a code lock on our door to the employee area because we had a customer so pissed he shoved the colleague through the door. He walked in and shoved them. I had to call the police.
Why was
He was so mad because he
About
came.
what? Bro,
Because
calm down.
he came to take delivery of his Model 3 for the second time. The first time there
no.
was an issue, and the
Oh,
second
no.
time he came, we found that there was a crack on the roof, and he was there for delivery, and he was so pissed.
I mean, I'd be mad, but like, dude,
Yeah.
that's a little. Sounds like he needs to go to anger management.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
He's all set. He's still got that car.
So the next day we had a locked door to our employee area.
Oh my
Wow.
God. That's nuts.
So anyway, that can be a whole nother conversation on a whole nother podcast.
We're glad to have you, Barry. We've saved your life. It seems like. Here we are.
Your health improved for the better.
Debatable.
Do we think, just a tangential question, generally, do we think salesmen are sleazy? Do they
In
do?
what regard?
Do you think in general terms, a salesman will do whatever it takes to sell a car?
There were people who, I think it varies.
You go first.
Do you think there's a
There was a period of time at Tesla, yes, because if you didn't hit your sales numbers, you would have been laid off.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's
So
the
it was a
thi-
survival
Well, and that's
mode.
the thing. I think salesmen are in survival mode, and that they have to sell cars to make their money. It's like they're not making a full salary, and every other car is like a bonus. It's like you have
Yeah.
to sell the cars to make the money. So, whatever it takes, they'll sell the car. It seems like.
Yeah, I think there are probably those like stereotypical, like you always see like the meme of like the car salesman online who's like doing like the crazy like dance moves, and it's like when you sell a $75,000 Tahoe to like so and
Oh my
so
God, yeah.
with
Of course.
18%
But
interest.
well, there are some people who walk in and like they know what that's about. It's like, yeah, I understand. I'm going to be paying all the money, and like there
Yeah.
are some people who are just like, I want shiny car.
Yeah.
It's like they have no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
mean, it varies.
I think
What-
people just put too much trust in salesmen.
Yeah, and I mean,
They need
I
to
th-
understand the facts
Well,
themselves.
The thing about people going back to Tesla, the thing, everyone thought it was an easy product to sell, sure, but most of the 90% of the cars were still bought in showrooms and sold by sales
So it was
individuals.
a convincing.
So
they had to
people
convince the
needed to be convinced to buy this car,
Right.
even though they have been sold. You can say all you want, and literally Teslas are the easiest thing to buy. Just go on your app; it takes 2 seconds. But almost all of the cars that were sold for every 30 cars that were sold, maybe one was just randomly ordered online, but that never happened. So people need that trust, and when I was selling them, my thing was I never even talked about the car. I just talked about the person, and they just let them experience the car. It sold itself. But there were sleazies, yes, because even though you were not commission based at Tesla, there were levels. If you sold a certain amount of car, you got
you got a bump up.
Oh, so you didn't get paid by car. You got paid. You're bracketed.
So yeah, if you sold 10 cars, you get this. If you sold 15 cars, you get this. If you sold 20, and it was based on the delivery, not sale. So you had to make sure the car got delivered. So yeah, I mean, and they were at periods of time very significant. Like you could make some serious money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for not speak, I don't have experience with Tesla, obviously, but like from like more of like a broad like standpoint of like car dealerships in general, I think probably not our generation, but a lot of like, you know, like maybe like our dads or like our parents' generation, there's always like, oh, you know, we're gonna go to the car dealership and we're gonna like get a deal on this,
Negotiate.
Like
This ain't happening anymore.
Doesn't exist anymore.
most dealerships now, because of Kelley Blue Book and like all these different sites and all these different car websites where you can go and buy a car, a lot of dealerships have like fixed price, and if you are going to get like a deal, they'll probably waive like the paper fees or, you know, the cleaning or whatever it is. But like car dealerships are changing now because of the access of information on the internet and what we have. But to go back to your point of people being sleazy, like, yeah, I'm sure that there are like your stereotypical like sleazy like used car salesman, but in the society that we're in, like, people have to make their money in order to survive. So I'm sure that there is that like competitive, like,
Yeah.
I need to sell this car. So like,
Yeah.
you can't really look at it like in a critical way. There are a lot of factors that go into like the
Right.
decision for the buyer and the seller.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like there's such a low bar now for everything. Like, you know, we interviewed an intern yesterday, and I was already 90% bought in because he was following up with me. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't
Yeah.
see that anymore.
Yeah,
You
no.
don't
Yeah.
see that. Like, if I go to a place like where I buy, like I want to go and buy something, and like I don't buy in that moment, and the individual like emails me, texts me, and it's like a legit, not like an automated thing, or calls me and is like, hey, like that to me is already like, okay, now I feel like I should buy this because
Yeah,
I'm being
yeah.
serviced. Like, you don't feel that in anything anymore, going to the airport, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's
It's
that
all automated, or
level
it's
level of customer service just doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like sleazy is not necessarily the word. I would say it's just more of like, you know, I think I've never really felt that being a car salesperson was a low level job.
No, I definitely am not saying that. I think-
No. He's saying like someone's like doing whatever they can
No,
to
like,
get
yeah,
the
like
sale.
I had an experience recently at a dealership. I wanted to test drive a new car, and I was like, I saw you have one online. I want to test drive it. Well, you can't test drive it without a deposit. I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'll throw a deposit on it. How much is it? $1,000. Great. I'm like, is it refundable? Yep, it's refundable. Great. I'm talking about the car. Yada yada. Get the paperwork out. Paperwork in front of me. Big bold letters. Non-refundable
Oh,
deposit.
my God.
I'm like, hold on. Let me get this straight, Chief.
All deposits are refundable.
Yeah,
no matter what.
we just said it's refundable. Now we're saying it's non-refundable. Is it my eyes, or what's the problem here? And he's like, well, it's not. We have to say it's non-refundable, but it's like, so is it refundable? It's like
Just tell
why
me.
is the paperwork different from what you're saying? It's like things like this. It drives me nuts. And like it's like
so you don't have to say what it is, but were you able to test
Toyota
drive?
no,
Corolla GR.
yeah, it was actually.
Shut up, Barry. I knew it, but I was being polite.
But yeah, I couldn't drive it. And that was the thing. He was like, oh, well, you know, you basically have to spec out a car, and they order it, or like they get an allocation for one or something. And
Yeah.
like when one matches what someone wants that's already built, they'll
Yeah.
send it to the dealer, and
Yeah.
then you get first dibs at it. It's not your car, but like I would have first dibs at it. So
I
like
think-
basically he was like, if you test drive it and you don't like it, you can have your money back. But it didn't say that on the paperwork. So it's like,
So
Yeah. Well, the thing about that car is it's like they're not. It's a Toyota dealership, so they're not used to.
No, they're not
that
used to an
level of-
enthusiast car.
They're not used to enthusiast cars. They're not used to you. They're not used to the
No,
type of buyer.
yeah,
they're
no.
not
That's
used
true.
to the.
That's
definitely
true.
not.
You know,
Definitely not.
they just want to sell cars. They don't.
Yeah,
really care
100%.
about
so
it.
if you do end up test driving one, what's your plan with
Well,
that?
I need to save up more money. The thing is, you know, I put the deposit down. It was a month ago now. So, like, let's say in 10 months, a car comes in and I've saved $20,000 and I can put a fair down payment on it. I would consider, you know, if I drive it and like it. That's the
Which
thing.
you will.
To like it.
Yeah, I think
will
you
like
will
it.
like it. Everyone says
it
it's like
seems like it's a
amazing.
great car. It's like,
I love
would
the way it looks.
Be a
I
great
think it's
daily,
so
great
badass.
ski vehicle. You know, fun backroads car, enough power, not too much type of thing. It's like, yeah, I could see myself buying one. However, $40,000+ is a lot of money for a 3-cylinder Toyota. the end of the
It's
day.
it's 4, isn't it?
And it's, like, really cool.
Is it 3 or 4? I think the Yaris
It's a
is
3
3.
series. No, it's the same engine.
Oh, it is?
It has more power than the Yaris.
Oh, wow.
But it's like, you go on Facebook and it's like there's a 200,000 mile, well-maintained Audi RS4 for 15 grand.
Yeah.
It's like, why shouldn't I buy that? It's like, and just send it, dude.
And not
It's
have
like
a car payment.
Yeah, not have a car payment, and
Yeah.
and probably in maintenance you'll spend less over 10 years anyway than what you're paying for the new one. That won't have
the
problems.
argument for the Toyotas, you can beat the living piss
You can
out
leave
of it
the-
for like
yeah.
2 years, 3 years, sell it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
probably make
warranty.
almost what
And just
you're
get
in
rid
it
of
before.
Get rid of it.
I don't
You
know. It's
and
kind
the
of
thing is, today it's
hard
like,
question.
where are interest rates at? It's like you're gonna
You
spend like 10%, like 8-10%. It's like
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's a lot.
So I mean, that's where I'm at. It'd be a great car, but do you go a different direction and spend? You're gonna spend 40 grand. Do you spend the 40 grand in a different manner with maintenance or upkeep or whatever, fuel?
No, I know.
So-
I've never felt more like not buying a new car.
Oh,
than-
we know. Sean will pull up
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
let me look up like, I need a new truck.
I need a new
Denali's.
family
And it's the
car.
same
You
routine. It's the same routine.
So what like
These are 75 grand.
Well, you
now.
pull up a.
Yeah,
pull up a
you
foot-
act like you're a buyer and you're just kicking tires.
Listen,
You're
Chief,
kicking good
you
years
don't even
around.
tell me when
okay?
you're looking at cars anymore,
I don't have to tell you shit.
because you know I'm going to make fun of you.
how do
Yeah, you
how do
probably
you
will.
feel that he told me about all this like months ago
What?
about the car that we were talking
No,
about?
I know about the Corolla. I mean, we talked about that, but he apparently looked at a car the other day.
I didn't look at it. We don't have to talk about that.
And
I'm always looking at shit, all right?
so
Sean
anyway,
always diffuses me when I try
Sean,
to bust his balls.
Sean takes a Falcon tire and kicks it.
fuck is a Falcon tire?
Yeah, you're a tire kicker, Chief. You're not doing nothing with it. You're just kicking it around.
Yes.
Oh, I need a new truck.
Yes,
I
Lugger.
do need a new truck.
Yeah, we know you need a new truck, but you're not buying a new truck.
Why?
Because Tiff's going to suffer in that stupid Denali
No, she
for
loves it.
eternity. Oh, well, then.
I've seen her whipping that thing.
Hey. No, but you go online. You look at it. You look at.
Hey.
That poor truck.
You look. You look at.
That truck.
My
truck.
favorite memory-
Concours ends. It's Tuesday after Concours. Sean gets a call. You know your truck's sitting at Salve Regina on their lawn with the key in it.
Windows
and
open,
and like
raining.
10 grand in booze. And Sean's like, no, I didn't know that.
Dude, my favorite memory of
With the
that
key in it.
was when we filmed the 458 Speciale and the 360 Scuderia, or the 430 Scuderia, and Joe was driving the film truck.
Was it my truck?
Yes, it was yours. I'm like flying in the back of it, trying to hold the camera and tripod.
Oh, the pre-harness.
Dude,
always-
that truck
abused
can handle it, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean it's fun, but
That poor
you know,
truck.
I needed like after the first the first year of the road, our trucks get used for
Yeah.
company things when needed, and she needed some serious suspension work after that.
I mean, how much weight did you have in that
They
truck?
had, like,
you had like 2,000 pounds of
2,000
booze
pounds
in
of
it.
booze in it for like a week, and it was like this.
Thing was
driving
tooting,
around.
dude. Thing had the Carolina
Yeah,
lean to it. Sean got pulled over because of a modified suspension. He's like, "No, Chief, I swear,
you
it's just
actually?
all this booze."
Did you
No,
act-
no, but
oh.
it needed a lot of work after that.
And Sean's been saying since then, October of 22,
No,
that he's going to buy
I
a new
have
truck.
not.
Yeah, you have. Like every day.
So what would be your decision?
He can't buy anything.
Everything's like $100
Everything's
grand.
$110,000.
Does it
Sean's
have-
going to end up with an 03
Does it have
Eddie
to be
Bauer
moved?
Escalade.
I'm going to trade
Explorer.
my car in and get something. I'm going to trade my 2011 in for 2006.
Yeah, he's getting like a 95 like
Would you
barn
get
door
something, would you get
Suburban.
something used? Like it doesn't like a 20
Used is 75 grand.
Really?
80 grand.
Like
yeah.
certified
20,
pre-owned?
30, 40,000 miles. There's one with 55,000 miles.
It was like we're
$70,000+
So what are you going to do?
Why are they so expensive?
You're not talking in your mic.
Don't.
That's not that kind of show.
There's demand for them.
There's demand. They hold their
Oh.
value well, but you just,
They're reliable trucks.
everyone
You're fidgeting a lot.
and you got to
Yeah,
get.
because he's not a buyer.
Do you want to be done with this podcast? You keep looking at the time.
He
Are you-
keeps
No, I was
getting
looking- I have
buzzes
a
from.
watch.
He keeps getting buzzes from CarMax. New Denali posted $88,000. And Sean's like,
I think we
10%
should.
interest rate.
I think we should end this because Barry's getting
we could talk
fidgety.
forever. Yeah, I'm starting to really tick Barry off.
You get pissed
Really
off
ticked
over it.
around here. Ow.
Don't worry, we'll do it. We'll do a new video when I get a new Denali. That would actually be funny if we did that.
Barry's
We
new
should do a
truck.
review, but you're not buying one.
Barry's transport drives this.
Barry has a
at
better
work.
chance.
What does he drive for pleasure?
Barry has a better chance of buying a 911 than a Denali. in the next year.
Bro, you
I would
should.
He
never
ain't
buy
buying a 911.
What about
I've already had one.
what about an E60 M5?
I keep telling him. I send him
You
all
want-
the manual
you want
E60s.
one. You want one?
Those have gone up too. Listen,
Yes, bro, you coulda had one 6 months
E60s
ago.
pre-COVID. All
13
day.
Gs.
Yeah, 13K rod bearings done. And then it was like a manual one, like 18.5, 20
I'm not
grand.
talking about trading my Tesla, and I'm talking about trading my other Denali for another. I
you
need
gotta
a
get
big truck.
You got to get locked in. You need an E60 M5.
Yeah.
I know that. We've talked about it.
And it's half the price of a used Denali.
And you can fit the kids
It's
in the
from
back.
2005.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's a good-looking
You can
vehicle.
do the updated screen and stuff, I feel like.
And then Bromley would love it so much, he would start to learn how to make the noises with the soda can. Dude, Larson does that so well, dude. We should get a clip of him, dude. It
All right,
sounds
it's all
like
set.
sounds like a S85.
I love that kid.
Oh, he's the man.
I think this was a,
That was great.
this was a good episode.
Barry's dying. I'm dying. Antonio's
I'm okay.
dad stocked out.
Listen,
Just
Chief.
avoid fences.
Who,
That's
who buys a vehicle next?
Listen,
Sean,
Chief. Look
Antonio,
at
or
these
me?
socks. I think it's not going to be me because I bought something last year.
Yep.
This is okay.
rammed it into a tree
That
and
was
then.
okay. 23, I bought the replacement Boxster. 22, I bought first Boxster.
21, you bought the
minutes later.
Mini.
21, I bought
20, you
orange
bought
Mini.
the other Mini.
20,
20,
no,
you crashed the other Mini.
No, 20, I bought Panigale. 19, I bought the red Mini.
I think you'll buy 2 more vehicles before Sean buys one.
No.
Ow.
Okay, if we are gonna get on the topic of this very quickly,
No, I'm leaving.
I do. Shh, just 2 minutes.
You're not buying anything whether you get up or
I
stay
gotta
or
go to
whatever.
Paul Massey to buy a new Denali.
You're going nowhere.
I really like the new Ducati Hyper Motard, the single
I
cylinder.
don't know anything about
Oh, I saw. I
It-
love that name. for obvious reasons.
Hyper Motard.
Yeah, Hyper Motard. Motard means like
Same guy who-
supermoto
Don't-
basically.
Same guy who
Don't.
named the 12-cylinder. How do you say it?
Cylindri.
12 cilindri. 12 cylinder.
So stupid.
Dumb.
I mean, it rolls off the tongue in Italian. No,
That was kind of
I
funny.
love this new. It's basically think Ducati Supermoto, but it's a single. It's a
So
single.
why do you need another bike?
Because
Because why?
I want to ride the Panigale only on the track. I don't. It's fun on the road, but it's a lot more fun on the track. I feel like this bike would tickle like my pickle on the road. It's more comfortable. It's not as fast. But that being said, for a single cylinder, it makes like 80 horsepower. For a single, that's insane.
That's crazy.
And it's got all the tech, and it has this like new advanced wheelie control.
much?
I think they're like 15.
Would you finance it?
Yeah, probably. But like, I don't know.
That's like nothing.
I'm not. Yeah, but I don't want to buy. I don't.
You don't need that,
The
Chief.
next thing I buy.
What are you buying?
Is a house.
Oh,
I am
boring.
Buying one of those
I am
either.
How old are you?
actively saving
How old
for.
are you?
No, I want to buy a rental property, and I want to.
Boring.
Bro, that's how you
Boring.
make wealth.
All right,
I'm
we
gonna
done?
No.
We're on houses
I was
now.
about to go on a rant.
Okay, go on your rant.
I'm almost 30. I ain't moving out soon. I need a vehicle. I need another vehicle. I need to spend my money.
You're helping the economy.
It's my money and I want it now. Rant over. Ow.
you have a structured settlement
and you need cash now, call J.G. Wentworth. 877 cash now.
Sam's going to have fun editing this down to an hour.
Dude, it's all set. This couldn't come out for like 2 weeks. All right.
He's on his phone. He doesn't even know what we're talking about.
Well, thank you for sticking with us
Dude,
for
we
this
got
long.
some
If
fun
you
ones
have
coming
this-
up.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I can't believe what's coming up.
Dude, we straight cooking.
Dude, just sit back and let the boys cook. And
We're gonna
we've
cook.
been cooking. Shit's about to happen.
We're seasoning it right now.
We're
Being
seasoning
seasoned.
a little salt-based situation, a little pepper. Dude, I can't contain my excitement, and you'll see why.
Yeah, you won't be able to talk.
I've been like, hi.
It's all
Mate.
set. It's all set. All right, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and we'll catch you in the next one.